Now, Walz is weird, but he disguises it under the costume of phony compassion, a fake politician who masks destructive ideas under the guise of empathy. At a 2017 town hall, he implied 10-year-old boys should be able to invade girls' bathrooms because it's all—
Tim Walz is now saying about Trump supporters, and forgive me, I'm just reading a quote, Tim Walz, I think I could kick most of their ass.
Oh boy, he'd be in trouble.
Is there any way to know?
Well, he's a loser, you know.
Think you already have the story figured out? Not so fast. This wasn't a slow-motion collapse, it was a full-speed derailment. Greg Gutfeld and Donald Trump, both known for speaking without filters or hesitation, ended up shining a national spotlight on Tim Walz, and the result was anything but flattering. 1 minute, Walz was calmly reciting polished talking points. The next, he was caught off guard by biting humor, blunt criticism, and larger-than-life personalities turning the moment upside down. What triggered this chain reaction? And how did Minnesota suddenly become the punchline of a nationwide conversation? Brace yourself, because it gets more uncomfortable by the minute.
Walz continues to be criticized for embellishing his rank and service. After it came out over the weekend, he once claimed to be an official bikini inspector. Walz's direct superior in the National Guard says Walz knew his unit was about to deploy to Iraq and went behind the back of his superior officer to resign. When reached for comment, Walz yelled, "Hey, look over there," and then ran away.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him.
Tim Walz continues to be criticized for embellishing his rank and service. After it came out over the weekend, he once claimed to be an official bikini inspector. Walz's direct superior in the National Guard says Walz knew his unit was about to deploy to Iraq and went behind the back of his superior officer to resign. When reached for comment, Walz yelled, "Hey, look over there," and then ran away.
I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice.
People often say leadership begins with vision, but Tim Walz appears to be following a different playbook altogether. One where visibility matters more than results. Critics argue that his focus seems fixed on press conferences and carefully choreographed media appearances. When problems surface, responsibility gets shifted elsewhere, to circumstances, timing, or anyone else who might absorb the blame. Minnesota, under his leadership, feels like it's being run on maximum difficulty, with every challenge turned up and no margin for error. Infrastructure issues, economic pressures, and policy decisions pile up, creating problems far more serious than cosmetic flaws.
Walz, it's hard to even bring him up. He has a resting snitch face, you know? He forfeited his man card during COVID and the riots. And you're right. And also, at that diner, of course, he left early. So don't you find it weird that for a terrifying threat to democracy that Trump is, not a single interviewer in his history has approached?
If you're finding this breakdown useful, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps. Under Walz's tenure, Minnesota has started to feel frozen in time, stuck with policies and priorities that haven't aged well. Despite repeated attempts to reframe the narrative, many residents remain unconvinced. Enter Greg Gutfeld with relentless sarcasm, and Donald Trump with his trademark blunt force commentary. Together, they didn't need to manufacture controversy. The situation was already there, exposed simply by being examined closely.
This seems to clear. We saw just recently Donald Trump's executive order to make it more difficult, specifically to women, trying to make it more difficult for women to be able to vote. We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote.
Wait, so Trump is making it more difficult for women to vote? How so? Math problems? But it's further proof that the most dangerous thing for a leftist is a follow-up question, which is why
This criticism didn't require elaborate setup. The material practically presented itself. After imposing some of the strictest pandemic measures in the country, Many expected clear improvements in daily life. Instead, residents still face deteriorating roads, steadily rising taxes, and persistent public safety concerns. Minneapolis, in particular, feels like a city operating under constant strain, with little sense of direction or recovery. The result is an atmosphere of uncertainty, where problems linger and leadership appears reactive rather than decisive.
I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country.
Dude. You're an old white guy. And you're right, you are a huge disappointment. I guess hating himself is the first thing he's...
So what solutions are offered? According to critics, it's more committees, more studies, and more advisory panels. Serious challenges are treated like minor administrative errors, something to be postponed until the next report is released. Walz's governing approach is often described as delay-driven, pushing decisions down the road while requesting additional funding to revisit the same unresolved issues. To many observers, that doesn't resemble leadership. It looks like hesitation dressed up as management.
Are people misreading Tim's odd greeting? The man of the hour, Tim Walz, brings us our second video of the day, and he's got a very weird way of greeting his wife of 30 years. Roll it. I want to see this in slow motion. You'll see Walz extends his hand to his wife. She grabs it. They shake. He pulls her close and then goes in for that non-friction hug, all the while still shaking her hand. I wish there was a word to describe that. Oh, yeah.
Then Donald Trump enters the conversation, bringing his usual unpredictability. Reviewing Walz's record, Trump frames it as an example of ineffective leadership. While Trump himself remains a polarizing figure, supporters argue that he at least acts decisively, even if controversially. Walz, by contrast, is portrayed as reactive and uncertain, struggling to maintain control. Meanwhile, Minnesota's most noticeable trend isn't reform, it's relocation. Residents and businesses continue leaving the state, seeking lower taxes and fewer restrictions elsewhere.
The Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz.
The business climate has become a major point of contention. Critics say Minnesota is increasingly difficult for small businesses to operate in, weighed down by regulations and compliance requirements. What should be simple ventures turn into bureaucratic marathons. Education has also drawn scrutiny. Schools, once focused on fundamentals, are now seen by some parents as testing grounds for political ideas. As academic clarity fades, parental concern grows, with many questioning whether education has taken a backseat to ideology.
Minnesota, there were a lot of horrific details that came out today about the suspect who's been charged there. Have you called the governor yet or been able to speak to any of them?
I don't really call him. Look, I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling him. Why would I call him? I could call him and say, hi, how you doing? The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste?
We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
So, wait, you lost because you weren't woke enough? That's like telling Joy Behar she's not eating enough Doritos. That's like Jasmine Crockett saying, I got a black...
Throughout all of this, Trump often takes a step back, allowing the situation to unfold without much interference, while Greg Gutfeld leans fully into highlighting what he sees as the sheer absurdity of it all. Gutfeld has described Tim Walz's leadership as appearing calm and harmless on the surface, but quietly producing serious consequences beneath that polished exterior. Critics frequently point to a growing disconnect between Walz's public messaging and his actual decisions, especially when it comes to energy policy and labor issues. He speaks passionately about environmental responsibility, yet policies and government practices often seem to tell a different story. The same pattern appears in his handling of labor concerns, where strong rhetoric is not always matched by tangible results. His pandemic response, in particular, is often cited as inconsistent, with rules that many residents felt changed without clear explanation or logic. Even Trump seized on these contradictions, arguing that the lack of consistency created confusion and eroded public trust, making it harder for people to take official guidance seriously.
The tampon king gets back in the ring. I speak of former VP nominee Tim Walz. He joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about.
Despite the growing volume of criticism, Walz continues to project a steady and confident public image, even as deeper concerns build behind the scenes. Rising crime rates are frequently addressed with sweeping initiatives, task forces, and carefully worded slogans, while many residents increasingly rely on crime alerts and community warnings rather than official reassurances. Economic plans are often described by critics as broad and aspirational, but lacking specific solutions that address the daily challenges facing families and small businesses. Meanwhile, Gutfeld maintains steady pressure through ongoing commentary, revisiting these issues again and again, while Trump amplifies each perceived misstep on a national stage. Rather than signaling a shift in strategy, Walz is widely seen as doubling down, responding to criticism with additional spending, new programs, and expanded messaging campaigns. To critics, this approach reflects a preference for managing perception over making structural changes, leaving underlying problems unresolved and frustration steadily growing.
As a teacher, my number one responsibility in the classroom is the safety, security, and belongingness of every single child in that room. These are children my son's age, a 4th grader, a 10-year-old, who just wants to go to the bathroom, and their identity is they are male or female, and they just go in that bathroom and use it, end quote. Sounds so folksy, you know? Belongingness. Yeah, they'll be belonging in therapy with this.
The debate over policing marked a critical moment. When proposals to dismantle law enforcement surfaced, many expected strong leadership. Instead, Walz appeared hesitant, allowing uncertainty to grow. The aftermath was predictable: confusion, rising crime, and eroding confidence. Gutfeld's commentary resonated with frustrated residents who felt their concerns were being ignored. Infrastructure promises followed a similar pattern: bold announcements paired with minimal visible progress. Road repairs stalled, budgets ballooned, and accountability remained elusive.
So, this is Governor Walz. There he is. Do you know we're the same age? I know. I know. He looks like the founder of a law firm specializing in personal injury. He looks like the guy at church who remarries 1 month after his wife mysteriously passes away. He looks like the high school football coach.
Housing policy added yet another layer. Rent control proposals gained attention online but produced unintended consequences in practice. Smaller landlords exited the market, larger ones raised rents, and tenants faced increased instability. The response, once again, was additional task forces and prolonged discussions. Meanwhile, transportation projects lagged, costs soared, and promised solutions failed to materialize. Environmental goals clashed with government practices, further fueling criticism. At this stage, the issue extends beyond isolated mistakes. Critics argue it reflects a pattern of performance over substance. Minnesota faces rising costs, aging infrastructure, and growing uncertainty, while leadership focuses on optics. Gutfeld didn't reveal anything new. He voiced what many already believe. And when figures as different as Trump and Gutfeld align in criticism, it signals something deeper. Eventually, voters stop laughing, stop excusing, and start demanding answers.